Hi, Donna Ottaviano-Britt here with another episode of Joyful Disciples. And we have an opportunity to talk to a very special guest today. So we're in the Eucharistic revival. We're in the first year. It is time for us to bring Jesus into the world and not think our relationships are private. But what do you really think about Jesus? How do you feel about him? Where's your relationship with him? Are you close to him? Because he wants nothing better than to be close to you. And our guest today is going to share with you her relationship with him. There's so much to learn. What a gift. So here we are with another episode of Joyful Disciples. And again, we're in this first year of a 3-year Eucharistic revival. And on this episode, I want to bring to you just a joyful disciple. If you've watched enough of these shows, you hear me talk about no one is really attracted to a dour Catholic. And our guest today is anything but. She emanates joy as it relates to the work that she does here in the diocese, how she feels about Jesus. And so I am honored and privileged that DelleMonache, who is the Director for Religious Education in the Secretariat for Catholic Education for the diocese, has so graciously agreed to join me and answer some questions and share what she thinks about Jesus and the Eucharist with us. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege.
I'm so glad you said yes, so I'm really happy about
Did I have
that.
a choice, though? I don't think I really had a choice.
No, usually not. Usually not. But so I wanted to invite Lee on here. So how long have you been here at the diocese now, Lee?
8 months.
So why don't you share with the people that watch kind of what your role is and what you're doing? Because 8 months can feel really long in church life, in church service, or it can feel really short. So maybe you could share with our viewers kind of what are you working on and what's important at
Sure.
this point?
Well, it does. It feels long and short. There's a lot that's going on. The beginning started off with me getting to know the religious ed folks throughout the diocese. I've had the privilege of meeting a third. I met a third of our parish catechetical leaders.
In 8 months.
In 8 months. Yeah. And I still have, but before the year's done, I'm going to get to everybody. But to learn what it is, what resources do they need? What better ways could the diocese be of support? How can we ensure that their work is being fruitful and it's being leveraged to the maximum that it can be? So with that, I've learned a lot. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, I have the privilege of being part of the Secretariat for Education. So there I get to sit at table and assist with the revision of the religion curriculum. And as we started digging into that, we started to discover no matter how great of a curriculum we put together, and no matter how great a delivery model of religious ed that we put together for the parishes, if the catechists and the teachers don't have a better understanding or a truer understanding of our faith, then the seeds that they plant will just not take root. Right. So our emphasis has expanded, not shifted, but expanded to also include making sure that we have a formation model in place that will help equip our Camden teachers, our parish catechists, but more importantly, the folks that lead them, right? Because who do they turn to? Our catechists and our teachers turn to their principals and their PCLs to make sure that what they're teaching is in concert with Catholic Church teaching and that they're doing right by the families that they're serving.
No small task.
No small task, but it's exciting. And the exciting part is that we're really adapting it to what the needs of today's world is. Everyone is more, we're so busy and so involved in so many different things that it's important that we have opportunity to do this formation at a time that makes sense for us. So we need to look at online models, but we can't rely solely on online models. So we're also looking at—
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of coming together as the body of Christ in this first year of the
community? When more than one, when two are gathered in my name, it is community is the crux, is the foundation of our church. We can read all the most wonderful books and listen to the greatest podcasts and watch the greatest videos on YouTube, but if we don't come together and talk about it, it goes nowhere. Right. It's eventually going to wither and die. So community is so important. So we found a model that is going to marry the two, where people in their own time can certainly dive into these wonderful resources that are available online, but then we're going to bring people together, and we'll bring them together in small groups and large groups and medium-sized groups to unpack what they learn. So we're really excited to get that going.
Yeah, it sounds like really exciting work and so important. And if you think about it, so we're here to talk about Lee's work, but also we're going to talk a little bit personally with Lee too around kind of what her feelings are. and her attachment to the Mass and Jesus in the Eucharist. Hence, we're doing Eucharistic revival, and this banner is going to be behind me all year, I think. But also a direct link to the Synod, right? So think about the Synod. So they kind of go hand in hand. We were planning Eucharistic revival, I think, in the United States, and then the Vatican came out and said you have to do the Synod. So it kind of pushed the Eucharistic revival a little bit by a couple of months. But if you look in the Synod report, there's so much in there about formation and about community and about a place to belong and a place to share faith. So I love what you're doing about that because really people, especially the people that participated in the Synod listening sessions that are part of small faith sharing groups, they love those groups. They're in a smaller community, which is part of their larger parish community, and how much they value those relationships and what they get from them. So I think it's amazing work, and it's wonderful to kind of watch everything that you're trying to bring to bear in collaboration with, the Secretary for Catholic Education, the PCLs, and the Catechists. It's really great. But we're going to turn this conversation to you now. Because part of what we want to do, and Catholics need to talk about their relationship with Jesus. The age of Jesus, my relationship with him is private, is over. It's over. So our age that we live in is really to bring Jesus into the world. He will heal people. We bring him. He will heal people. He will bring people together. It is time for us to think about how we talk about Jesus. But I want to talk to Lee around, if you'd be willing to share a little bit around your relationship with Jesus. And then the second part of that is the importance of Mass, of his real presence in the Mass. So your relationship with Jesus and how you talk about him.
Well, it's actually, I can do it in one story because it's so profound, the story that happened to me. And it all started 2 years ago now when we were denied the opportunity to go to Mass. When we couldn't go to Mass, when we couldn't receive the Eucharist. I remember and this was before I was with the diocese. Remember, I'm only here 8 months, so this was 2 years ago. I remember that feeling, and we've all had that feeling, when you're busy with a project, that feeling of school, and then all of a sudden you're done. And you have that feeling that you're walking around, you're like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something, but I don't know what it is. That was the feeling that I had during that time where I wanted to go to Mass. I knew I should be at Mass, but I wasn't able to go to Mass. I didn't know what to do with myself. Well, then Mass finally started opening, but it had all of those restrictions to it. And I was so uncomfortable with that. And I struggled with that. You had to sit in a certain place and had to be far away and had to wear the mask and you had to walk in one way and walk out the other way. Struggled with it. And the thing I struggled with the most was communion. In the beginning, when church opened up again and we were able to go to Mass, we had to receive communion and then walk out. And I was like, what? That's not right. I'm supposed to kneel. And I didn't know what all these things were. I just knew it wasn't comfortable and I wasn't feeling comfortable with it. Fast forward now. So I stopped going because I got in my own way. I got in the way of my relationship with Jesus where I should have been like, all right, Lord, this is the only way I'm going to get you. This is how I need to do it. No, I got in my way and said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because this isn't the way it's supposed to be and I'm not comfortable doing that. And I realize now, I look back on that and got in my own way. And what woke me up to that was when things started changing at Mass. I hadn't gone for a while. We're fortunate that we have a home in Ocean City. So my home parish is Incarnation in Mantua, which I love. And I'm beginning to fall in love with my second parish in Ocean City at St. Damian's, at St. Augustine specifically. We were down the shore the weekend and I just felt this need. I hadn't gone to church in a while and I just felt the pull to go back. So I went to Mass at St. Augustine and sitting in there and everyone's in their seats and it comes time for communion. And remember the last time I'd gone before, you had to receive and then walk out. Well, this time I get up, I'm waiting for the usher to tell me it's okay to stand up. So it's my turn to stand up. And I'm about midway back and I see that there's people in the pews in front of me. And I'm like, wait a minute, it should be empty. And I'm noticing that people are coming back and sitting down. So I looked at the usher and I said, can I sit back down after I get communion? And he said, yeah, we just started doing that. You don't have to leave. I started to cry. I'm walking up to receive and tears are streaming down. I'm going to get emotional thinking about it again. And I received and I sat back down and I literally wept and I'm thinking, Lord, I'm nuts. And I didn't know what it was. And it isn't until I look back and reflect on it, I realized, Lee, you idiot, look what you've been missing. And yeah, this is the time, this is how important that relationship is. And the graces that we receive and preparing to receive, and when we do receive, and those moments when we kneel down after we receive, it's so important to give yourself that time to acknowledge the blessings in our lives, no matter what challenges that you're facing, to be grateful for them, to ask for more, right? Prayer is always about, not always, but it includes about asking and about being grateful, and that relationship and that opportunity to do that. So
can I ask you a question about that? So you're sharing very candidly, right, with everyone that watches Joyful Disciples, and it is so obvious you're a joyful disciple. It's so obvious. Have you shared this story with others? So like what it was like to be away, how you got in your own way, because that really helps people, right? So what's it like? Because I think what we need to do is think about, how do I talk about Jesus out in the public square? You know, what's it like? So I wonder what challenges you had, or maybe kind of how you touched someone with sharing this story, because this will touch a lot of people who watch
know,
this.
and you know what? I have to say, I'm guilty. I don't share it enough. Yeah. I share it with people like you, Donna. I share it with people that I know will get it, and I haven't been brave enough yet to share it with people that I know need to hear it.
Just so you know, you just did.
So here I am. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off, but I know I need. That's a weakness of mine that I need to overcome, because I've been in enough situations where my husband said to me, we're driving home, and he's like, "Why didn't you?" And I said, because I didn't feel like getting into a whole half-hour thing about and the arguments back and forth. But we need to give witness to it more. Believe me, I pray and ask for the wisdom and the enlightenment to do it in a way that does justice to it, because I don't want to do it in a way, that's where my fear, I don't want to do it in a way that's off-putting and cements the argument against it. I want to do it in a way that really invites people in.
Sure. Because that's really what we're trying to do. So if you think about, you know, I've talked about it endlessly on this show, is that inside of the sacrament of baptism is you were made a disciple, you were made a son and a daughter of God. But you're also, in that call is to be a missionary disciple, which is to help others, which is to help others have an encounter with Jesus. So it isn't about, everybody thinks that we have lots of rules.
Right.
You know, it's Jesus, right? So thinking about the healing, Donnie, and the love.
And you reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine who was complaining about things. And I said, you're letting that get in the way of your relationship with Jesus. And she acknowledged it and said, you know what, you're right. But then that was it. And there was an opportunity to dig further, and hopefully I'll have the courage to do that the next time. But honestly, just to plant that seed to say, don't let the craziness of the world get in the way of what your relationship with Christ.
Because it isn't at all what he wants.
No.
He doesn't want that. He just wants us. He draws us closer all the time. Lee, this has been a remarkable way for you to share your story. And I'm so grateful. You're so joyful. Your love of Jesus, your relationship with Jesus, and the importance of Jesus' real presence in the Eucharist, because he's there.
He is there.
We know what the research shows. You know, a third of Catholics believe in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, and we're hoping more Catholics will come back. So you just have to follow Lee.
Come on back.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.